It's a fine foggy night tonight, and I doubt if anyone has ever told you of the marvelous fogs we have in Aberdeen.
Eugene.
Bakersfield.
Los Angeles.
San Francisco.
He wasn't giving me my props in Oaktown.
Portland.
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles de California.
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
You gotta find your Irvine.
Irvine. And Hanford.
Eugene.
Seattle.
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 Sacramento.
Fresno.
We're going to Vancouver.
Modesto, California.
San Diego.
Gina.
You know, there might be an opening for a manager in Visalia next spring.
Yakima, right?
Vallejo, California, the V. Welcome to the West Coast Sojourn Podcast. I am Donnell Alexander.
And I am Lev Anderson.
And we are guestless this week, am I correct?
Guestless. We decided to just have a conversation between the two of us.
Well, we're going to do that every bit because Johnny Carter, one of our recent guests, said how much he enjoyed the report. And I'm not going to rat you out, but I'm just going to say before that episode, I consumed some cannabis, you know? And I had to. It's always like a give and take because I'm funnier and looser, but I'm also less competent. Are you familiar with that?
Right. Yeah. I don't know about the funnier part, but yeah.
I feel funnier. I think the report was pretty smooth. But I wanted to talk to you about so many things this week because we're here in Portland, where the president's ire is focused upon us. And on Friday, we learned that there won't be any troops. I was on a very selfish level. I was finishing my newsletter, and I was like, shit, now I got to fit something in. But what was your reaction to that particular bit of news? Not that far from your home. We're not going to be saying.
Right. Well, I think, it is good. I mean, in a way, it seemed like an unusual legal ruling by like the judge basically saying, we don't need federal troops there. There's not like a threat that's not being handled by the local people there, either the ICE officers or Portland police. So it's kind of unusual to say like, and therefore you can't deploy them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it leaves the door open as well for if something does go down, like if somebody throws a Molotov cocktail into the building or whatever, then all of a sudden that's just going to open up the floodgates to federal troops, I think. So I think it's still a tenuous thing. And I think, Randy, our discussion with Randall Blazak last week, kind of touched upon, we got to keep the peace. This isn't over. We can't let our guard down and let some, dumbass really do something that will provoke a larger response where, the judge, the way that she ruled on the case was they're not necessary, but then if something happens, they're going to become necessary or justifiably so. So I think it's a tenuous piece at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, I find it just incredibly interesting that the degree of misconception that exists here. I mean, even if you think that the Trump administration is way over its skis on this, in your head, if you're not here, you really do think it's a larger percentage of the city, which is probably like 0.5%, would you say? Oh, that's actually experiencing unrest, 0.3?
Yeah, maybe 0.2 or something. I don't know. I mean, 0.002. It's a very small percentage. But this is a big city, Yeah.
Portland exists in the public imagination, period. So much larger than practically all,
I think more, yeah. I think there's been a little more action on the outskirts, like in Woodburn, right? Like Woodburn, Oregon, which is closer to Salem. I think there's been some big raids there. They detained like 80 people or something.
I did a piece for Oregon Humanities Magazine out there in Woodburn in the trailer parks. I didn't know that they were out there. I know that they're just all over Hillsborough right now, and that's a big town community. Have you stopped calling it Hillsburrito?
Hillsburrito? No, I never called it that.
You never heard that?
No.
You've never lived in Beaverton, then? They call it Hillsburrito.
I mean, I've been out there. I could see where the joke might come from, but I've never heard it.
And I'm on the leading edge of racial humor. Anyway, it's tough because there's more coming. But I guess that's the thing I really wanted to get to. Last Tuesday, things changed a little bit, and with the election, it's not just the election of Mondani and those governor's races. I've learned that just down at the granular level of school boards and county boards, there was just a rejection across the board of Republicans. Isn't that something?
Yeah, well, I guess, maybe I think part of it is, just dismay and disgust of some of the stuff the Trump people have been doing that's affecting everybody's life. And then I think also part of it is, I'm just trying to come with a reasonable take, is that the Democratic or progressive voters were way more motivated than the normal Trump MAGA folks to show up. So I wonder, I don't know what like if the turnouts were similar to 2024 when Trump won the presidency. I suspect there's more enthusiasm around Republicans then. Now there's not that same kind of enthusiasm and driving turnout. So I wonder if there was like a lower turnout of Republicans in some of these areas. But I don't know. But I think there was also the switch, with folks like we were talking about in the Brown community, because they're the ones getting the brunt of a lot of these policies right now. So they definitely are maybe switching back if they had voted for Trump, last year.
Right. Latinos have come back. I mean, the Democratic Party still have young men, and a lot of those reversed. But I heard one of them say something that affected. They really prematurely thought the gains that they made were permanent. And that's
right.
This is the subtext of everything that goes on with these people, and I don't know. I'm very interested in the change in tenor and how long it takes for Republicans to not want to go down with the ship. The advent of Trump as a lame duck is what I mean. Yeah.
I think it, there is a different feel, and we'll see how long it lasts. And I think the shutdown too, as long as you can keep the blame on Trump and his sycophants, if you can keep the blame on them because they don't want to help subsidize people's health care, then that's how you win. But if like the Democrats or something all of a sudden start getting blamed for people not being able to fly home for Thanksgiving or whatever, it could switch again just like that. There's this fickle like 10-15% of the U.S. population that kind of swings back and forth, and it's more of an emotional thing maybe what they're feeling at the time than like some real deep dive on these policies or whatnot.
It's definitely not that, but I think there's been this prevailing narrative, even for like the casual political watcher, the most casual, that on the basic level, the story that we're telling is about the time the Republicans in charge. All the violence and all that, everything is begun. We're in charge. You can't unring that bell,
Yeah, that's true. Right. I mean, they are basically in charge.
Mm-hmm. So, I went to see the Blazers last week. I watched watched some of the highlights of, I don't know what to call it, the highlights, last night's game. What do you think of this team? It's such an interesting team, but I feel like it's the epitome of a work in progress.
I think it's definitely a work in progress. I think, people got excited after some, beating Denver and OKC and the Warriors.
They beat
but they beat OKC, yeah. They gave OKC their first loss of the season. But OKC was coming off a back-to-back. They weren't playing Chet Holmgren. So I think, there was, this probably, it's a young team. So I think it's all about emotion, effort, confidence. Like Shaedon Sharp's been shooting terribly, and he's a better shooter than that. But I think his confidence is really down right now, and it's kind of dragging the team down a little bit. But it'll be interesting. I think they're still in the mix for playing.
Do you think that the absence of Chauncey Billups has especially affected that guy, Shaedon?
I don't know if I would say. I would have thought that somebody like Shaedon would feel more liberated after Chauncey.
Really?
I mean, I'm sure he empowers the players to a certain degree, but he was also pretty critical of Shaedon, like his last season. So, I mean, I have no idea. It's all speculation. If we were hanging out at the practice facility or something, that would be one thing. But
let's go.
yeah.
No, I'm I went to the I went watch DeAndre Ayton. I wanted to see how he been really interested in his thing, not so much scoring, but what he's doing, the quote unquote little things, the winning basketball things that I don't think he was ever associated with in his career, you know. And so yeah, I mean I've been writing about it, the fact that people try harder in LA. And that's, you agree with me with that, right? I think and we're saying this as the Lakers got skunked last night in Atlanta without the little point guard who's not very good that Atlanta has. They had
Trey,
Trey. What Atlanta did, they put like a bunch of big athletic wings out there. All right. I'm not even sure if they had the God, I'm blanking on names. It's me and Weed. That's the bad thing about Weed. I blank on names. The big center that they picked up from New York. Who do they have? Atlanta.
Atlanta. Oh, from New York. Did they get Mitchell Robinson or something?
No, white dude, the European guy, 7'3". What?
Oh, Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah, Porzingis. Yeah, and I don't think he played, but I think they just played everybody 6'7", 6'9", and that's how you beat him. And
well, I think with the Lakers, I feel like half the world really wants them to be good and succeed, and so there's always this kind of overblown feeling about their successes. I mean, at least this like post Kobe Lakers. Like, oh, they've turned a corner. Like all of a sudden now JJ Redick is an awesome coach, whereas everyone was kind of dogging him last year. And I think it's just they've won some good games. Luka lost some weight, and we'll see where things end up. But the West is so competitive. I just don't know where they fit in,
I'm going to say though that I think JJ is a really good coach. It's a strong coach. Last year he showed his lack of experience. I think in the finals he played like everybody. He didn't play the bench in that last game. Didn't play the bench at all. Something unprecedented like that. But he's got, if you've got DeAndre Ayton playing team ball, you're on to something. I think he's managing personalities well, and that's something that matters when you have like a bunch of stars. Now, having said that, the team you're talking about doesn't have LeBron James in it. It hasn't had Reeves, so you really haven't seen them before. And anyway, it's just fun because I think like your hatred is barely hidden.
Right, it's thinly concealed. I don't hate him. I just feel like everybody talks about him all the fucking time, and half the time they're not that good. That's so I like to provide the counterweight. That's my thing.
It's like the Dallas Cowboys, and you're just saddled with all this information about them. But this is a good team. I think it's going to be fun to see how they develop. I brought them up just as an avenue to talk about the NBA because we're going to go back to the serious stuff in a little bit. Are you watching? Are you actually like having early feelings about how the season's going and who's going to be, for real and not?
Well, I think OKC is still for real. I guess that I haven't seen him play yet, but I guess the rookie from Philly is really good, and that gives them a chance in the East because the East isn't as competitive. But also, San Antonio might be coming on a year or so before I thought they would. I thought they would need another year of development, but maybe Wemby is ready.
Well, that was the big victory is that Ayton played very well against Wemby, and he ends up getting Scott Van Pelt interviewing after the game, and that wasn't going to happen. I wanted to say something about those teams.
The thing with DeAndre Ayton, and just and I think I mentioned this before, is he's talented. He's good mid-range shooter. He's kind of money, like 15 feet in. He can get a lot of rebounds, but over time, we'll see where he ends up. Only because I had a lot of big hopes for him as a Blazer, and he was here for 2 years, and you could kind of see. He'd have some amazing games, but then you would see a lot of games where he just kind of disappeared. And I just think like when LeBron comes back, he might even be, more just kind of on the side.
Interesting. No, I don't know. Last night they played poorly. I didn't see all the game, but I can tell you that, maybe that was the first game where we saw the real on DeAndre. But I always go to this thing where we have, where were we in our early 20s? Yeah, we went that together, and these guys. I don't know if I've said this on the podcast before, but it's like the aim is to figure out yourself before your body betrays you. And some people figure it out, some don't. I think Chris Webber was like, to me, he was the epitome. Almost figured it out, and then he got hurt. But it's on a lesser scale all the time. And DeAndre is one of those guys. I like Andrew Bynum. Andrew Bynum never figured it out, and so he had this great beginning, and he was just I don't know, just I hate that word knucklehead, but because again, the shit I was doing into my 30s would be really unacceptable when we judge these athletes on a different criteria, and we take them out and into the league so early. You know, they're babies. I look at my kid. I'm not saying any names. Some of them lacked a kind of maturity. I couldn't see them being very consistent in an NBA locker room.
No, I mean, I think it's hard. It's kind of crazy when you see these like 19, 20-year-old kids doing what they're doing under that amount of pressure.
He was third, number 3 for rookie of the year, losing to Luka Doncic.
DeAndre Ayton?
Yeah. I forgot that they came up that first year.
Well, they were good, right? I mean, that Phoenix team was good. Didn't they go to the Western Conference Finals or something in his rookie year? No.
Yeah.
And then, just kind of, I don't know. I'm not a DeAndre Ayton hater. I just feel, we'll see. We'll see if he stands the test of time. I mean, what I'd be concerned about too as a Laker fan is I kind of just feel like all of a sudden Luke is going to get hurt, and then LeBron will come back, but they won't get a lot of time together before the playoffs. So that would be my biggest concern with them. Are they building the right kind of chemistry? Like, they're both great players and they both make other players better, but are they going to make like each other better, or are they going to mesh? Because I kind of felt like that was, something they haven't worked out yet.
Well, last year LeBron started standing in the corner more. He was handling the ball less, and I think with Reeves emerging, he's going to handle the ball even less. I know he wants to be out there. They're talking about him as a 4, and I think they expect him to pick up a lot of the rebounding responsibilities, because Aiden's not a great rebounder either. He's pretty good, but he's not a shot blocker.
No.
I wanted to change the subject just a little bit.
Please.
You told me about, I think we talked about it on here, but when you were present when Steve Jobs unveiled the iPhone, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
What was that? Can you tell us?
Have I not told that story? So I used to work as the house manager at Yerba Buena Center for the Arts in San Francisco, and we had an 800-seat theater that was next to the Moscone Convention Center, where there was always a big tech conference or whatever, and Apple would always rent out our theater and do like an unveiling for press and Apple employees and other VIPs or whatever. And I was there. I was the house manager when they unveiled the first iPhone. And I think even the year before that, he was like, we have this thing we like to call a podcast, like, so I just, at the time it felt momentous in a way, because the iPhone was like the next leap forward in technology. But like looking back, I'm with the way that social media and the internet has evolved and in our politics in this nation, and how the devices and platforms influence those politics, kind of looking back kind of feels like, the beginning of the end of the American experiment. But, we'll see.
Yeah. I remember in the context of the Larry Johnson 4-punt play. I always go back to that. That was one of the historic moments in my that I've been to, especially where sports are concerned. And I wondered if you had any other bits of history that you happened to be at. I was
I was at the Oakland A's Moneyball era when Scott Hatteberg hit that walk-off home run for them to win like the 22nd game in a row. That was like a major league record at that time. It's featured in the movie. It was a Chris Pratt or somebody, like he played Scott Hatteberg. And I was at that, and because they used to do like $2 Tuesdays for Oakland A's games, because they, nobody would go. So you could buy $2 for like nosebleed seats up on Mount Davis. So the Oakland Coliseum, Al Davis at a certain point had like put another section on top of the existing stadium for more seats. And the funny thing is you were so high up and in center field that when Hatteberg hit the ball out, we're up here and we couldn't see the ball go out of the park. We didn't know if it was a home run. We had to wait a second to hear the crowd react. So, for baseball nerds, that was a moment. I don't know. I don't know. I don't, nothing else comes to mind, but are you just thinking of like certain stories or feelings or?
Well, no, you know what it is. Like I started thinking about, I was listening, I don't know if you know this, possibly my favorite hip hop group ever is the Alcoholics. And, I was thinking about the Super Bowl I watched with them in 1994 and how, Madlib was there and Exhibit and all, and I was like, that was such a crazy group of people to be watching a Super Bowl with. And
Yeah.
It's just I was kind of thinking about moments that I probably shouldn't share here. The crazy things that have happened in my life that I've just forgotten about and feeling very lucky that they're all there and just being able to pull up all the recollections. But the iPhone is such a distinct moment in mankind,
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Looking back, I mean, it definitely felt that way a little bit, and yeah, there's this history's happening around us, right? And sometimes I've got like a friend who works for the I think now he's like a freelance contractor. He worked for like the AP and stuff in the past, or Reuters. But he's a videographer, so they just send him out to like cover, like he's covering like the Met Gala, he's covering all this stuff. But I remember like when the whole like peach entrapment thing was happening and Michael Cohen, they were constantly replaying this footage of Michael Cohen getting in a car on the New York street, like with his lawyers or whatever. Like that was just like stock footage at that point for MSNBC and CNN or whatever. And it was Aaron, my friend Aaron, who had filmed it. And you can hear him asking Cohen like a question and stuff, like when they include the audio of the clip. And that was just funny, and like I was like, that guy witnesses so much shit because like, something crazy happens in New York or whatever, he's there, so yeah, I think journalism is kind of that. I think that's kind of the excitement around it, and I imagine that's part of the reason you got into journalism, right? Was to like be witness to some of these events or personalities or whatever.
Yeah, I was thinking about it this morning because the Sacramento Bee and Miami Herald are owned by McClatchy, and they're closing their Washington bureau, and that's like a real threshold moment. Like you're not going to have a Washington bureau. I started at community college in Sacramento, and I got to I remember going down on the floor of the Capitol where they have the desk for the reporters, and there's a columnist named Dan Walters, who's like the dean of California Capitol reporters, and Herb Sample and Rick Rodriguez. These guys were just, I mean, to me they were like 10 feet tall, but they had a bureau of 8 people in Sacramento back then. 8 different journalists covering fucking Sacramento. The idea of closing the Washington bureau was anathema to what they were about. If you told them in 2025, right, you're going to put them down, they'd be bullshit. Donald Trump's the president, huh?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Oh, I was going to say, you reminded me of another moment of history that I got to witness firsthand. I told you my Bill Clinton impeachment story. I had a friend.
Please go back.
Yeah. I had a friend that worked for a U.S. senator. And during the impeachment trial, I was in D.C. for work and was staying at his place though. And he was like, do you want me to get you out onto the Senate, floor or whatever to watch some of this impeachment trial? And I was like, sure, let me smoke a joint first. So I smoked a joint as we walked to the Capitol, and then we went to the Senate. And, they were letting the public sit up in the Senate gallery, and, people had to either wait in line or get somebody to get them in. But I got to sit down. We sat there and watched for like 45 minutes, and supposedly it was the first time they ever had televisions on the floor of the Senate. like actual televisions, and they were playing the Monica Lewinsky deposition tape. That's what and then, the House Republican prosecutors were doing their thing. They were making their case, and I was watching how the different folks reacted to things and stuff. It was interesting, and I was high as fuck.
That's more interesting. That Lewinsky thing broke. I got hired at ESPN. They called me out. I was at LA Weekly, and they called me out for an interview. And I came down from the hotel the morning I was going into the office at 34th and Madison. And that's what hit me at the newsstand, the breaking Lewinsky story. I think it was Vernon Jordan at the very beginning. It was
right, yeah.
But yeah, it was like your introduction. And that's the thing. And all the shenanigans and malevolence of the Trump administration, that all seems so tame in comparison, but the world was in a total tizzy.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, compared to Trump, that is like fucking tiddlywinks.
Can I run this thing by?
Guys say.
I want to run this thing by you because when you called, I was looking at this article and this thing called the Infinite Scroll. It's Infinite Scroll. The New Yorker has a section, a column called the Infinite Scroll, written by Kyle Chayka. Chayka's his name. Yeah. Anyway, I thought about it in part what you were talking about earlier. Maybe I want to go back to it, but the idea that it's cool to have no followers anymore, in part because of
no followers.
Yeah. The example they use, remember that producer Jack Antonoff, big, pop guy, where he has like 500,000 followers, and this new artist who has a lot of buzz called Nourished by Time, and that guy has 3,000 followers. When you're looking at the Antonoff thing, you're looking at people who were involved with that 2016, and it's just it's meaningless now, and people are trying to connect in real life, allegedly. What do you think about that as a phenomenon? You're not really online all the time.
I never really did Twitter or anything like that, and I'm not, besides Instagram and barely Facebook, I'm not on it, and I don't know as much about it, but I've always felt like social media has, grew into this role, and it was definitely pumped up by Zuckerberg and all these people, like a kind of an outsized role in our lives, like I don't subscribe to Spotify, but or any of those other services, but it's like creating this the circumstances that you get somebody like Donald Trump elected, because I won't go down that road, but I wanted to say that I don't understand why we give so much credence to like X number of followers when, for some of these people, like half of them are bots, whether they know it or not. And so then you just make yourself even more vulnerable to manipulation by nefarious forces by giving so much credence to numbers like that. That I don't, I think you get into, tricky, or at least unauthentic moments or unauthentic, transactions and relations. And it's just part of that weird contradictory essence of the internet that was supposed to bring us all together, but kind of keeps us apart too at the same time. And so it's confusing. It's not like, we have any of the answers, but I do question the outsized role of Twitter and all the followers, like we don't like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, we could shut those fuckers down. Like if you just had everybody get off Twitter or X and Instagram, like what are they going to do? That's their whole thing, I mean, Elon Musk has got Tesla and other stuff. So, but why not? I mean, I guess people have been kind of migrating off X anyways, but then they're just going to something else that'll turn into some monster. So, I don't know, maybe people, I don't know. There's so many questions. We need to find a good social media thinker and bring them in and talk about, like, do we need these things? Like, I would love to get off Instagram and Facebook, but I feel like I have things to promote, like the podcast or DJ gigs or film projects, so it's just this trap that you're in. What's that?
everyone has a justification. My family's on Facebook, not my kids, but my
Your
children,
family, right?
my sister and stuff. I think I saw I haven't seen my children on Facebook in years. There are definitely other places. I think I wanted to ask you if there's anything particular you had hoped to talk about. I always control the conversation flow. What have you been thinking about these most recent episodes? I feel like we're getting into a groove a little bit.
Yeah, I think we've had some good guests, and I like that we're kind of bouncing all over the place in a way. I think it's more interesting and satisfying for my ADHD mind. But I think I was thinking too, like I love that we get like the director of the Seattle Erotica Arts Fest, and we're not like trying to get like fucking Justin Bateman or whatever. Like we're not chasing celebrities. We're not like having necessarily conversations that are totally surrounding, some of these things that other podcasts talk about. I think it's a fun opportunity and space to have other kinds of conversations, and sometimes we're successful at it, and hopefully we'll get more consistently successful at it.
There are some people lined up who are going to make things. We talked about a guest, an upcoming guest, who was a difficult wrangle, but I think that the diversity of types of people are what we talk about. Some people want to come on and play ball and have fun with us. Some people are totally fucking serious. We can do the best we can to draw them out, but that's part of it. Sometimes, sometimes, sometimes hard truths are hard, and people are unusual. People are unpredictable.
Yeah, and that's life. We're not all going to be perfectly presentable, humans. At least myself included.
That's perfect. I have one last sports question. We can start making our way out the door. But if I told you that going into last week, the Arizona Cardinals had a 5-game losing streak in the wake of Charlie Kirk's death. Charlie Kirk's death? What would you?
Right.
Do you think there's anything to it? I think they won a game and then they lost.
So what is the connection though between him and the Cardinals?
Well, they had his memorial was there at the stadium.
Oh, it was in that stadium. Oh, and is there a 5-game losing streak just at home, or is it on the road too?
Well, I think they lost all their home games, but yeah, it's all of them. Obviously, their quarterback problem for this is just too irresistible. And here's the thing: I think the Dodgers were a really good team, and they had this huge funk that overlaid with the ice raids, And I think the fans feel it. I think the players feel it. The football dynamic's different because the fans may not even be down with what's going on with Dodgers and ice, and people don't. But with the Charlie Kirk thing, that was a very public thing. And I think if you're a player, you're like, this is what you like? Well, fuck you. I don't know if I'm going to risk this hamstring injury. I'm not going all out on 4th down and 3 in the 4th quarter. You fucks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It also could just be that they suck, right?
Yeah. Their quarterback's Jacoby Brissett. They were playing Seattle today, and it was 35-0 in the 2nd quarter. So I guess I won't put that on.
Wow.
Well, here's the deal.
Yeah, you can put that on Sam Darnold.
I am not a Sam Darnold believer. I think he's a heartbreaker. I used to do the social media at the Coliseum his year at USC, that year as a starter at USC. And some people, my nephew, my cousin used to say this thing. Some people just have that sorry look about him. And he has that sorry look about him, right? You can tell he's fool's gold. And the thing about fool's gold is switch metaphors to quicksand, because you stay with it and it just drags you in. I think the Sam Darnold experience is about being dragged in to have heartbreak come at the end, round 2 or whatever. He's going to throw that interception.
Nothing like being a Laker fan in the post-pandemic era.
Oh, well, hey. Where have you guys been in the pandemic era? That video you sent.
We just don't have that kind of expectation. We don't have any expectation, so it works for us.
Okay. And just to be clear, I do not root for the Lakers. I adore the Lakers. I think they're really interesting.
Yes, we do, Palantir. We're voting for it. We're rooting for them. Them and the Dodgers, Mr. Walters. Is that his name, Walters?
Yeah. Just give you more
Mr.
evidence.
Teal, we love you. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, the Blazers is supposedly the hipster team to be enjoying. What's the team in the league that you like that's off the radar? You have one? Kind of into Golden State. I feel like Golden State's better than people expect.
I think Golden State will be there. I mean, I don't know. I keep thinking that New York. I kind of like the Knicks. Sometimes they're just kind of entertaining. I haven't seen them play this year though, so I don't know what the Mike Brown experience is, how that's affecting the team.
I think it's better offense. I mean, it's supposed to result in better offense than Tom Thibodeau is not an offensive genius.
Right.
You mentioned San Antonio.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't gotten to see enough other games yet this year. It always kind of changes because it's based on players and also the context of how it's playing out, right? Like I haven't watched San Antonio yet, but I imagine they're kind of fun to watch now.
Oh yeah. And I think they've been playing without Fox a lot. So. All right, so we have done way more hoops than we need to. We should probably bounce, right? I mean, this is I want to give people some variety of conversation. When we start coming back into hoops, it's like we're losing control of this thing.
I hope somebody's still listening.
Yeah, it's Books Week in Portland. There's all sorts of authors in town. That's very exciting, and we're going to see at least a little bit of something like that. Anyway, you want to say goodbye to the folks?
Yes, goodbye. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Subscribe. Mash that subscribe button.
That's it.